We were lucky enough to spend the Day of the Dead in Mexico this year, which is something we've always wanted to do. Officially, Dia de Muertos takes place on November the 2nd, but festivities usually begin weeks before this. Colorful parades are very common in most major cities, and we managed to catch the Alebrije Parade in Mexico City the weekend before Dia de Muertos. Alebrijes are colorful folk art sculptures depicting fantastical creatures, first created by Pedro Linares in the 1930s. Many people now see them as something like totems or spirit animals that are linked to each person's soul, as depicted recently in the Pixar movie Coco. They are therefore popular Day of the Dead symbols as a way of honoring dead loved ones and bridging the gap between the physical and spirit realms.
We spent the actual Day of the Dead weekend in Guadalajara and had two amazing experiences there. The first was a visit to the annual Calaverandia festival, a theme park dedicated solely to Dia de Muertos. It opens its gate at 7 p.m. and it's filled with sets depicting the different elements of the Day of the Dead. We walked through a mock cemetery, so many ofrendas, which are altars that families create to remember their departed loved ones, took a trip through the Mexican underworld, and had some fun in a mock-up Mexican pueblo. There are other attractions too, like riding trajineras and listening to mariachi, but the coolest part of Calaverandia for us were the shows.
There are three main shows that we saw. The first, Alma, was definitely the highlight. This show used water and light to create a gorgeous display, as well as dancers, fire, and fireworks to add to the effect. Tao was more like a theatre performance, with acrobats performing daring stunts and a lot of comedy thrown in for good measure. And the Grand Altar Show was a musical performance by mariachi on a giant altar with huge skeletons dancing around on the sidelines. We spent about 3 hours at the theme park and managed to see all the shows and attractions, but you could easily spend longer there.
Our second Day of the Dead experience in Guadalajara was a trip to the beautiful town of Tlaquepaque. We visited Tlaquepaque the last time we were in the city and loved it, but I heard that it's the place to go to see the best Dia de Muertos decorations. Sure enough, the town was full of color, most notably the bright orange of the marigold flower that is symbolic of the Day of the Dead celebrations. There were many beautiful ofrendas and skeletons on show as we walked around that it was hard to stop taking pictures. We would definitely recommend coming to Tlaquepaque the day after Dia de Muertos, as from what we were told, if you go on the Day of the Dead, it is pretty hard to move because of the amount of people.
Dia de Muertos is something we'd been wanting to experience for a long time in Mexico, and it definitely lived up to the hype and marked a great end to our second trip to this amazing country.